Welcome to another Declutter with me in my living room, in particular my TV unit. As you can see, this is a very deceptive unit, but in fact all the drawers and all the cupboards are full to the brim of various different things. They are categorised, each drawer has a purpose, but they are absolutely rammed with stuff, and it's getting to the point where it's now feeling overwhelming because I know it's there even though I can't see it. So it's time to go through properly and really go through everything and make some decisions. So first up, I need to make some room to do this and to properly clear out. So I'm going to start by clearing away all the unnecessary stuff that I've been piling on the footstool and in the tray, and actually clear them away. I've got copies of my little Lots of Decluttering planner and books out, so those kind of things need to be found a home, and so that I can really kind of make the most of the space downstairs and not feel like I'm looking at it all of the time. It can be quite tempting in these spaces to kind of fill it with lots of things to make it look aesthetically pleasing perhaps, or to store things so that you can have easy access. But I found that if I have too much there, it doesn't end up getting used anyway. It just becomes like a hoarding ground kind of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that the space was really aesthetically pleasing to me, because I do find it overwhelming if my area is not tidy. So now to the task of the drawers. That's where I'm going to start first. I'm going to get each of them out and go through each of them one at a time so that I can really have an impact within that area. I do have specific uses for each of the drawers, so I'm going to keep to those categories. So one is paperwork, like financial paperwork, household paperwork, one is stationery, one is cables and electronics, and the other one is for receipts and my budget book. So my process is very much the same as it always has been, is to go through each section and decide what is really important to keep, what items are not necessary that could be disposed of or donated or sold. One thing that I found with the paperwork drawer, I have just gone through it. It was absolutely rammed, and I have gone through and got rid of anything that's not relevant. I don't tend to have a complicated filing system for the paperwork. I just have an important documents pink folder, as you can see, and then the rest is just kept in the order that I receive it. And I just go through every couple of months and just get any old utility bills out so that there's just room for the next ones to come through. Most of them are now electronic, so it's fine, but I do get the odd one that comes through in paper. The cable drawer was definitely one that was difficult. I've got lots of camera accessories that I've never really used, like clickers and stuff that weren't like serving a purpose or weren't usable or didn't work, and I was just keeping them. I had lots of duplicate cables, so I've kept just one or two maximum, depending on what type of cable they were and how often I would use them. But I got rid of any of the little bits that I didn't need, and then just organised it in a much more user-friendly way. So I had the cables at the back, and then put my spare camera and stuff in there, and my camera case, etc. When you are decluttering, it's really handy to have separate categories that you're putting things in. Rather than creating piles, could you put them into boxes so that it's easier to put things away after you're finished? Any rubbish, put it straight into a bin bag so that you're ready to take it straight out of the house, so that you're minimising the after of decluttering, which can also be quite overwhelming if you find decluttering overwhelming as it is. Think about what's really important to keep, whether or not you really need to keep it. Ask yourself those key questions as you're decluttering, and make sure you're only keeping the essentials that you know you're going to use. So these items that I have kept, I do use, and I will use them regularly, so they were worth keeping. I think the last drawer that I have to declutter is the stationery drawer. So there's a few things that I just wanted gone, and there's a few things that were like old notebooks that could then be stored in a different place. I tend to keep old notebooks and diaries that are essential to keep under the bed, so that is where they will go. It seems silly to have things in different places when I have one central place to store things, so I need to get better at putting things back in the right place. I think it's just from experience of knowing that it can be so easy to just chuck things randomly or in a similar drawer but not the right drawer, and I guess it's a case of laziness for myself here. As you can see, I've taken my time on this declutter and I'm just focusing on a section at a time. So I've done the drawers individually. Now I'm going to put them all back so that the space is cleared. So I'm ready to now look at a new space when I am ready. So it's not a case that I have to do it in one go. I think I did some of it in one go and then ended up coming back to a couple of the cupboards a little bit later, and I felt, well, that's okay because that's what works for me. So make sure your decluttering schedule is in a way that suits you and your timings and how you want to work things. As you can see, I had a few issues putting the drawers back in. So this is what I've managed to declutter so far from the drawers. It doesn't seem like much, but there are a few things underneath the little postcards, etc. Now we are just moving on to the games that I have, the board games, and to all the art supplies that I keep in that bottom drawer. Stuff that I do like to use, but I haven't been using as regularly, so it's important that I go through this section and are realistic about what I do want to keep and what I don't. So here I decided to get rid of some old artwork that I'd tried and tested. I kept a couple of little things that I really liked doing, and the rest I decided to recycle. And next up is the board games that I have. We do really like board games nights, so we do like to have them, but there's quite a few that we don't go to on a regular basis or haven't used at all. So I was quite realistic about what ones I wanted to keep and what I didn't, and then found a better way of storing it. When it came to sorting out the other cupboard with the board games, I realised there were a few in there that I didn't want to keep, so I thought it would be better to put all of the games out of the basket and into that cupboard. I think sometimes when you can get rid of some of the items, it frees up a lot of space, and it suited the cupboard better than the basket because they fit better. Some of those bigger games I could use more of the space. They weren't quite wide enough, or they were too wide to put in the basket. So that's why I am faffing around here and changing my mind on where to keep things. This is where I bring the basket over, and I now think about how I'm going to store them within there in the best order so that I can get them for easy access, and think about which ones I want to really keep. I then decided that that basket was probably best suited for the artwork. It meant that I could then easily take the basket out, take it to the dining table to paint, to do anything, and then easily put it all away without having to like to and fro from places, getting the right things. Just meant that it was a grab and go kind of system that I could have in place. And here is where I have all my candles, my birthday cards, and at the minute some postage packaging because I was sending out a few books to some people, but it's not what I want to use the space for. I want it to be just for the candles and the birthday cards so that the postage stuff can be in another cupboard, because I've now got a free one from the board game, so this makes it a little bit more spacious. It's not free from the board games, it's free from the artwork because that was in the bottom right one. So this has freed up some space so I could have it in a nice organised way and easily accessible. This definitely feels like a much better space to put the postage items, so it's just really easily accessible. Then they don't need to be stored in the cupboard by the door either, so I've got one central space for postage items. So that has simplified it. I've also put my There's lots of decluttering orthocopy books in that cupboard as well, so that if I want to send any to anybody, I have got some copies ready. This basket has pegs and it has old DVD and Now TV boxes in, and a couple of garden gloves because that seems to be where I keep them. So I just had a little shuffle through, found some old chalkboard paint quite randomly, so that needed sorting and getting rid of. And then it was on to my very small collection of DVDs. I mostly have Austen adaptation films and series, Red Dwarf, and lots of Disney that are my favourites. Ones that if I didn't have a movie subscription would mean that I could still enjoy my favourite programmes without having to pay for anything. So I have got them there, and it seems silly to get rid of absolute favourites. Overall, I've actually got rid of quite a large number of items, so I got rid of a few DVDs, some games, a Now TV box, some other board games, some canvas, a few art items as well. Thank you for watching. I will be back for more videos soon. Take care. Bye.